Good morning. Welcome to your program, Your Agenda, here on Cignal TV's One News, channels 8 and 250. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for being Cignal TV subscribers and also thanking you for catching us, for those of you who catch us via Facebook and YouTube. Before I forget, please allow me this license or this liberty. I just want to say happy birthday to my sister Marisa Beltran Altamirano, who is celebrating her birthday. I hope it's a good one for you today. Okay, to those of you who are celebrating your birthdays, remember, be thankful. Be thankful that you get to celebrate. Some people don't even pay attention to their birthdays anymore dahil matanda na raw sila. Wrong. Because you have to celebrate. It's an accomplishment. It's an achievement if you get to post 1 year additional to your life story. Okay, today, October 9, 2023, Monday, we are going to be discussing the suggestion, the rumors, etc., of a new Secretary of Agriculture who is being considered. And of course, we also want to talk to stakeholders regarding ano ba, iaasa pa ba natin? Are we going to bet on government officials and government to lift up agriculture? Or can they do it themselves? Kumbaga, wag na wait, work na lang. Anyway, that will be our main topic for today. We have two panelists or two guests who will be coming to the program, one after the other, to express or to share their thoughts on how to choose a new Secretary of Agriculture, what should the Secretary's priorities be, and of course, what can they, who are in the private sector, do about their share as stakeholders in agriculture. But first of all, let's go to our daily starter. And before we flash it on the screen, I just want to set it up, okay? Last night, actually, I was speaking to a gentleman from Kosovo, and we were talking about he had experience in dealing with different diplomats, different people who were involved in negotiations during the war, etc. And I asked him, what is it like dealing with these very, very powerful people? What, should you be totally transparent? Should you just be direct to the point? And what he told me really got my attention. So I asked that I would share it today for our daily starter. And I can't tell you the name of the guy, obviously for privacy and security. But here is what was said to me last night. Gab, if you would, you have to know that they can afford to be wrong and you can't. And when we look at life, ladies and gentlemen, you have to know what they can afford, that they can afford to be wrong and you can't. And this can, parents can afford to be wrong, children can't, bosses can afford to be wrong, employees cannot, okay? And when you are dealing with superpowers and their representatives, you need to remember, okay, that they can afford to be wrong and you can't. And the gentleman actually told me, and when they basically have laid down the horse, try to get the best out of the situation, make the best out of the situation, because you know that that is the only way that you will benefit, because opposing it, fighting it, or trying to derail it will just hurt you and the people you represent. So remember that when dealing with a greater power, with a higher power, with a stronger individual, They can afford to be wrong, but you can't. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star, October 9, 2023, and very disturbing news. Filipinos among Hamas captives? Question mark. Philippines condemns attack on Israel. Okay, there's the Filipino workers in Israel have reportedly been held captive by Islamist group Hamas following the group's unprecedented offensive that led to more than 250 people killed and thousands displaced, according to the Associated Press, citing Israel TV. Meantime, Israeli ambassador to the Philippines, Ilan Flass, maintained that they have not received a verified report that Filipinos are being held hostage. We know the Thailand nationals involved, but we are not aware of Philippine nationals. Okay, so that is the official declaration of the Israeli ambassador on the matter. Let's go to, and you see that big photo there. That big photo is a Palestinian search for casualties under the rubble of a house destroyed in Israeli strikes in the southern Gaza Strip. That building that was totally demolished was the police station that was the site of a battle following mass infiltration by Hamas gunmen. So they are officially at war, and when the Israelis declared that it's a no holds bar, no quarters given situation. Meanwhile, at the top of the front page, 1 peso provisional jeepney fare hike starts today. And from today on, the price for jeepney rides is 13 pesos. Okay, so wala na raw kailangang matrix. Announce lang, official po, 13 pesos na ang pasahe. Meanwhile, 1 billion for Marawi siege victims. Okay, the Department of Management has released 1 billion to compensate the victims of the Marawi siege. Budget Secretary Amina Pangandaman has approved the special allotment release order of 1 billion to cover the compensation of Marawi siege victims under the 2023 national budget. Okay, the funding aims to indemnify people living in Marawi who were displaced and who lost their properties due to the armed conflict over 6 years ago. Meanwhile, judicious use of confidential intelligence funds sought. In view of the public outcry for more transparency, the rules governing the utilization of confidential and intelligence funds should be tightened to prevent politicians from wasting hard-earned taxpayers' money. Okay, so yun po yan. And then further down, enhanced cybersecurity urged amid PhilHealth data breach. All government agencies and the private sector must beef up their protection against cybersecurity threats, said Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Amen. Okay, so there is now a deluge of spam and scam attempts on mobile phones of people just sending out numbers to users. So we don't know what it is, but we are calling on the DICT to sit down with us regarding these problems of cybersecurity. Meanwhile, BBM, rice prices, not surveys, will measure my governance. Okay, the president declared in a video online the true measure of whether I am doing the right thing, okay, will be if the price of rice are really going down and whether the supply of rice is really reaching all our countrymen, okay. And photo, that group photo there, Senator Villar and Israeli Ambassador Flas and the South African Ambassador Radibi Nechitenje cutting the ribbon at the Trade Center Pasay last week for the opening of the AgriLink, FoodLink, Aqualink trade fair. And reclamation of Manila Bay continues according to group. Okay. And then last but not the least, we have a photo of Tim Cohn, Justin Brownlee, and Angie Kawame are all smiles as Asian Games champions. Gilas Pilipinas arrives at the NAIA Terminal 1. Okay, so welcome home, boys. Job well done. Congratulations. Kita nyo naman yung Justin Brownlee, ha? Hawak pa yung Philippine passport niya. Talagang winawagayway na Filipino ang Justin Brownlee. Okay, we will go for a quick break, and when we return, let's learn from stakeholders what are the rules, expectations, ano ba dapat ang malaman or alam ng incoming Secretary of Agriculture. We'll discuss that here on Agenda.
Reports surfaced that fishing tycoon Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. will get the nod from President Bongbong Marcos to become the next Agriculture Secretary. On one hand, producers group Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food Incorporated, or PCAFI, welcomed this possibility. On the other hand, fisherfolk group Pamalakaya contended Laurel's potential helm in the DA. But while everyone's still waiting for this confirmation, the agriculture sector is still facing various woes about supply and prices. The DA earlier vowed that they would increase livestock production by 5-fold in 5 years. PCAFI President Danilo Fausto said, this is technically feasible if livestock raisers get enough support from the government. Fausto also earlier urged the DA, the National Food Authority, and other concerned government agencies to start building a buffer stock of important food items. Let's discuss various agriculture issues on today's agenda.
An experienced dairy farmer, investment banker, and civic leader, Danilo Fausto serves as the president of the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food Incorporated. He is also the president and CEO of the family-run business DVF Dairy Farm in Nueva Ecija. Fausto has garnered several recognitions for his experience in the agriculture sector, including the Presidential Award for Agriculture in 2010.
Okay, good morning, Sir Danny. Welcome to the program agenda.
Magandang umaga, Cito, at sa iyong mga taga-subaybay at thank you for having me.
Okay, medyo para tayong reunion dito. Bagamat ahead ka sa akin, pareho tayong nanggaling sa UP Manila, UP Padre Paura, ika nga nila, the Pillars. Okay. Anyway, well, you've come a long way from the UP Manila Pillars. You have gotten into the family business of dairy. And I have to say, malakas ang loob mo at ng pamilya mo na pinasok nyo yung dairy business na yan, considering we are not known for dairy production. Pag sinabi bang dairy, baka ba yung, are you raising cattle and dairy cows or is it Carabao?
Nasa kalabaw ako, Cito, gatas ng kalabaw. Kasi nung araw, nung nasa college tayo, sumasama-sama ako dyan sa mga rally. Yun ang inireklamo natin. So sabi ko, nasa investment banking ako, I belong to the Makati Stock Exchange, merchant banking. So sabi ko, nung magre-retire ako, nag-invest na ako sa pagbili ng 10 kalabaw. Ngayon marami na, nanganak ng nanganak. At para makatulong sa ating mga kababayan sa Nueva Ecija. Nag-umpisa ako sa Talavera, 10 kalabaw. Ngayon, 18 towns na yung kinukuhanan natin ng gatas doon, mga magsasaka doon at karamihan dyan mga kaibigan natin na nabundok, kinausap natin at mga 85% ng kinukuhanan ko ng gatas, mga dating mga kaibigan natin sa bundok.
Pero, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
Oo, dahil ang gatas ng kalabaw, wala namang kasing kalabaw yung mga multinational. Yung nandiyan sa market, puro cow sila So naglalaro sila ng football, ako basketball. Kaya may needs ako.
Okay.
Kaya makikita sa supermarket. Pero lahat ng gatas na makikita mo sa supermarket na binibenta namin, galit lahat yun sa magsasaka.
And syempre bukod tangi, unique to the Carabao milk is the white cheese, di ba? Yung kesong puti. Oh, hindi naman wala pa naman ako nadinig na kesong puting gawa sa baka. Puro kalabaw yata ang ginagamit diyan.
Oo. At saka yung yogurt, lumalakas yung yogurt dahil sa mga healthy drinkers and consumers.
Malaki bang kaibahan sa lasa and quality between the Carabao yogurt and the cow or dairy yogurt?
Halos sa times 3, yung fat. Ang fat content ng cow nasa 3.5%. Ang kalabaw hanggang 12% ang fat. Pero ang cholesterol niyan is 360% less sa cow. Ang cholesterol ng gatas ng kalabaw. Kasi at yung kalabaw kasi mas ayon sa atin yan dahil sa tag-init, sa tropical and humid. Medyo hindi kaya ng gatas ang mga baka, nahihirapan. Pero meron din akong konting baka dahil yung gatas ng baka pinaiinom ko doon sa kalabaw dahil ang presyo ng gatas ng kalabaw is times 3 nung sa farm gate price, times 3 halos nung gatas ng baka. So malaking tulong sa mga farmer. Ang mga farmer kasi with one milking Carabao, kumikita ng 10 to 15,000 a month, isang kalabaw. Kaya nilang alagaan hanggang 10 So, bakit ka mag-alaga ka ng kalabaw kung lahat ng kababayan natin sa bukid, bigyan natin ng kalabaw, wala nang mahirap dito sa Pilipinas.
Oh, okay. Nabanggit mo na what would help. You mentioned earlier, or you were when you were asked, you had said that things could improve if the government actually gave livestock support. Now, pag-usapan natin, the first question we had in mind for this morning is the selection of Secretary of Agriculture. I think it's already 1 or 2 or 10 steps forward that the president is admitting, recognizing that he can do better things and accomplish more important things than trying to double as a Secretary of Agriculture. Ngayon, may na-chismis na si Francisco Chu Laurel o si Kiko Laurel ang papasok na Secretary of Agriculture. Pero mukhang biglang lumamig eh. Kasi normally pag in-announce na, sunod-sunod na yung mga paputok, di ba? But it seems that things got cold. Anong basa mo? How do you read the situation?
Si Franny, ang tawag sa kanya Franny, pagkakaalam ko, yung aming grupo sa fisheries sector, kasi yung aming Philippine Chamber of Agriculture, maraming agricultural sector, mga 48 agricultural sector yan. Fisheries is one of them. Sa grupo na yon si Franny kasama. Alam ko siya sa fisheries, no? He owns hundreds of big commercial fishing boats. He has processing plants, canning factories. He even went to power plant, no? And it will be a big sacrifice for him because he is a billionaire to really go into serving as Secretary of Agriculture. But he wants to serve the country, hindi siya makatanggi. Baka tanggapin niya, pero yung mga pamilya niya baka medyo nag-aalanganin dahil sa laki ng negosyo that he has to divest and forget about running these billion corporations that he's running. Hindi ko siya masyadong kakilala, pero balita ko, he's a good guy at he understands some of the problems in agriculture because we have, through our colleagues, binigyan siya ng rundown kung ano yung aming pananaw sa agriculture at yun ang kanyang tinitingnan. Whatever it is, kami naman sa grupo, sa Philippine Chamber of Agriculture, kahit sino maupo dyan, we support, for the simple reason na nandyan na yan eh. Dapat constructive tayo, hindi tayo destructive. Kung ang gagawin natin, laban tayo ng laban, ang ating mga kababayan ang tatamaan. So we represent both from the producers, the farmers, the agribusiness, and even the retailers. All the complete value chain, even the rice millers, feed millers, they are part of our group. So as president, ako yung, kumbaga sa madyong, ako yung humahalo nung pizza, no? Para pagtablahin sila at come up with a win-win solution. We always be the platform to communicate with the government, lahat ng mga hinaing ng different sector, at nilalapit natin sa presidente. I send aid memo to the president on several issues, particularly areas that has to be improved and make suggestions. We are proud naman na karamihan sa aming suggestion acted upon, whether dahil sa memo namin o sa pag-iingay ng ibang tao. Ang importante, nagawa yung dapat gawin. Although agriculture really is a very complex challenge, ang daming problema dahil decades of neglect ng administration. Ngayon, dahil secretary ang presidente, hindi kami nahihirapan sa budget. Laging may suporta. At yung convergence ng different departments, kasi ang isang agriculture is not really just Department of Agriculture. Katabas niyan yung DTI, which is Advertising and Promotion, Marketing. Andyan ang DOST, Research and Development. Andyan ang DILG, yung frontliners. Andyan ang DENR, DAR, yung sa lupa. Andyan ang FDA, Department of Health, which is the licenses for food safety. Andyan ang Bureau of Customs, importation at exportation ng products natin. Ang dami-daming agency na ang tingin ko, ang isang Secretary of Agriculture, mahihirapan kung wala siyang convergence sa lahat na yan. Because kung hindi natin maibebenta ang pinoproduce natin, hindi mag-uunlad ang ating
Yeah.
production.
Danny, isn't it well, ako in my insanity, in my crazy with my crazy suggestions, I have written at least 2 beses ko nang sinabi, maybe we should just have one Secretary of Agriculture for Luzon, for Visayas, and for Mindanao. And then someone said, Cito, because of the law, hindi pwede. Kailangan talaga merong secretary. O sabi ko, sige, kumuha na lang siya ng isang Secretary of Agriculture, tapos 3 super undersecretaries for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And so that the Secretary of Agriculture could attend to the things you're pointing out. Or is it better to just chop it up? Kasi hindi ba ang DNR ginawa na yan? Dati superstructure, DOTR, ganun din. Superstructure, biglang hiniwalay na yung DICT, hiniwalay na yung DOTR, etc. Should we do the same thing with DA?
Whatever is the organizational infrastructure of an agency, no matter how you do it or organize it, the most important thing is yung competency, yung encouragement, yung inspiration, yung kanyang pagpupursige, no? Nasabi mo yung Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, problema natin na Cito yung supply ng rice, ano, yung sufficiency. If you will look at the data ng PSA, ang Western Visayas has more areas of rice planted. Area, yung harvested area. Do sa first quarter, 202,000 hectares. Ang Central Luzon, which is the rice granary, has only 170,000. Ang Cagayan Valley, including Isabela, has 130,000. The problem is, ang Western Visayas is yielding at 65 kabans per hectare versus Central Luzon 120 to 150 kabans per hectare, and just like Isabela. So if we will have Western Visayas, we will have Soxargen, who is also have a large area of palay, and the Bangsamoro. If we will just match the yield of Luzon, of Central Luzon and Isabela, wala na tayong problema sa sufficiency. Kasi 65 kabans lang yung sa Western Visayas, it appears that because of this, the intervention of government was concentrated on Central Luzon and Cagayan Valley, Isabela. Nawalan ng concentration sa Visayas and Mindanao, which has a much bigger land area planted with rice, but the yield is low. So yung post-harvest facilities, yung intervention like subsidy on fertilizer, on hybrid rice, irrigation, nawala dun sa Visayas and Mindanao. Kung gagawa natin yon, tapos ang problema, Cito. Kasi kinompute ko, kung ima-match mo lang yung 10 biggest producer regions ng or areas that is being planted by rice, ima-match mo lang yung production ng Central Luzon. Kung lahat yan gagawin nating rice granary, hindi lang Central Luzon. Merong 1 million metric tons ang madadagdag sa isang quarter. Sa fourth quarter is already 4 million metric tons of palay. Ang kailangan lang nating shortage is about 2.6 million metric tons ang shortage natin. Why? If we are to compute 118 per capita consumption, sa 112 million people, ang kailangan nating bigas ay 13.3 million metric ton. Okay? Ang produce natin ng 2022 is 19.7 million metric ton of palay. Kung aalisin mo yung mga wastage, yung mga yung ginagawang binhe, say 10%. Ang net mo yan is 17.7 million metric ton ang palay, which is about 11.5 million metric ton of rice, 11.5 versus 13.3. So ang shortage mo is 2.6 million metric ton. Ang ini-import natin last year is 3.8 million metric ton. Ngayon, ine-estimate nila 3.5 million metric ton ang i-import natin for 2023. Ang kailangan lang natin is only 1.7 million. Bakit ka mag-i-import ng 3.5 million kung 1.7 million lang? Kung
kailangan daw ng buffer, Danny.
Yes. Including the buffer na yan. Sa ngayon, ang buffer ng NFA with 9 billion budget nasa 11 days. Noong May of 2022, ang buffer natin is 62 days. Ngayong May of 2023, 51 days. Medyo komportable pa dahil meron tayong magandang
Okay. Et-
harvest ngayong quarter.
Yeah, pero ito yung problema, Dan. Okay, we're getting sucked into this rice, this
Yes.
obsession with the rice issue. But the question is, okay, you're in the private sector. Gumikita kayo, napaganda nyo yung Carabao dairy farming. Why is the private sector not going south, going to the Visayas, investing there in the Barm area? Marami silang mga brothers, associates abroad who would be happy to lend them money or give them grants to set them up. Why wait for government that is too focused in Metro Manila to solve the problem?
Let's just say in general, yung mga policy ng ating government, economic managers, economists, puro tiga-UP, lowering tariff for them is good as to encourage competitiveness, para maging self-sufficient tayo, mura yung consumer na prices for the consumer. On the other hand, if you look and study, bakit nila ginagawa yan? Sabi, for the greater good, for the greater number of consumer. So in other words, we are saying here they are trying to slaughter, for me, they're trying to slaughter about almost 2.5 to 3 million farmers, which is about 11 to 12 million families. Now, greater good. Ang employed natin this August 2023, ang employment record natin, those that are employed is 48 million. 24.5% of that is in agriculture, which is 11.7 million employed people sa agriculture. That is times 5, or family of 5, that's almost 58.8 million people.
Kalahati ng Pilipinas.
Oo. Now, hindi pa yon. Ang underemployed is 5.6 million ang underemployed. 63% niyan sa agriculture naka-base. So, that's 17.9 million. In total, 76.7 million, which is 69% of our population, is in agriculture. Now, they would like to kill agriculture by decreasing tariff. Because if you give incentive to importation, you give disincentive to production. So bakit ako maglalaman ng manok sa aking poultry kung may alam akong papasok na manok na mura? Bakit ako mag-aano ng baboy kung may frozen na dadating at tinitinda sa palengke na hindi dapat
So just to emphasize that point, ladies and gentlemen, I go around poultry, game fowl, and piggeries. I used to have my own mini piggery, but many of the farmers have just about given up, and even my friends are saying, "Kuyang, ang mahal na ng feeds, baratan pa sa farm gate, and then other groups, sila I would say, punong-puno lahat ng cold storage ng imported na baboy. Bakit ka pa magpaparami?" So, true, when economists reduce the tariff, then they kill the farm. So, but anong gagawin natin, Danny? Because we're talking about a possible new Secretary of Agriculture, but your inputs are, wake me up to the reality. Kasi, syempre nga naman, ang magdadivest si Kiko Laurel ng kanyang ari-arian or involvement in the family business, which is billions, and he is the guy running the company. Kumbaga, siya na yung namumuno, siya na mamahala. Tapos, pupunta siya sa sa Department of Agriculture, he has to divest, he has to sell or give his stocks to someone else, and then yayakapin niya lahat ng problema na ikaw mismo nagsasabi, and all the critics is parang hindi naman masosolve to. So what are we supposed to do?
Well, na-anticipate ko, hindi ko siya masyadong kilala, sinabi ko nga sa'yo. Pero dahil nasa fishery sector siya at nagpapatakbo siya ng bilyon-bilyon, his feet has to be on the ground. Okay, sa fishery siguro on the ground siya. Pero yung livestock, poultry, dairy, at saka yung crops, medyo kailangan tulungan siya. Kung sakali mang maupo siya, I think we will have to extend our hand to really help him and give him some suggestions. Suggestion lang naman, kung susundin, okay. Kung ano nangyayari sa ground. Ngayon, kasi wala namang, kung nandyan na siya, tinapoint siya, wala tayong magagawa, kundi tulungan natin siya, kundi kawawa ating mga kababayan, kumawa ating bansa. Yun ang posisyon namin. At sana pakinggan niya. Kung hindi, makakadinig siya ng hindi magaganda sa amin dahil hanggang sa mapunta tayo sa alanganing bagay. Ngayon na nga, nahirapan na tayo dahil yung mga economic managers.
Yeah, Danny, anong magagawa ng Secretary of Agriculture? Because I'm now reminded of the nightmare of Manny Piñol. Maraming bumabati ko
Cito Lorenzo. Si Cito Lorenzo.
Cito Lorenzo.
Bilyonaryo din yan.
Yeah, sinasabi sa akin ni Manny Piñol, Cito, kahit sinong matino ilagay mo dyan, hindi naman namin hawak ang customs, hindi namin hawak ang economic policy. Kahit anong ipamigay mo sa farmer, kung yan namang baliw ng mga economists sabihin, bumili na lang tayo sa Vietnam, bumili na lang tayo sa Thailand, di wala. So what's your suggestion?
Basic lang Sito we cannot allow that our staple commodity like rice, yung mga kinakain ng ating mga mahihirap na kababayan, ipapabayan natin sa dayuhan, sa other countries, outsiders. We need to try our best to really be with food autonomy na sarili natin pinoproduce. But how do we do that if the policies are done killing this process of production?
Yeah, but Danny, I just know, sorry to cut in, Danny, mayroon lang akong na-realize. Later, we will have the Pamalakaya on board. I'm sure they will also be critical. Pero ang napansin ko lang, sa agriculture, parang magkakapatid tayong nagbabanatan, nagsasabunatan, nagmumurahan. Palagian na lang, nagbubuno. Pero palagian din, all of you always say, the problem that we're facing is created by the economists. How come you guys never got together to run after these crazy economists?
Sa aking nasa isip nga, I would like to charge them with treason. Yung ating economic manager economists, they should be charged with treason. Kasi what they're thinking is slaughtering 76 million of our people. Because if you give incentive to importation, in essence, at the end of the day, you kill these people because you remove their source of livelihood. These people are also consumers. Sinasabi nila, for the greater good, for the consuming public. Nakita naman natin na binaba nila yung tariff, hindi naman nakinabang yung consumer, nakinabang lang mga traders. Ngayon, sila ba kakampi ng traders? Ngayon, for the greater number, for the greater good. Sino ba yung mga consumer na yan? Yan yung mga magsasaka na nakaasa, yung mga employed people na umaasa sa agriculture. Ang computation ko nga is 77 million sila which is 69% of our population. Yung mga nasa Metro Manila at saka urban center, hindi problema pagbili ng pagkain niya dahil may perang pambili yan. Yung mga magsasaka, yung mga 30 percentile and below, yan ang hirap. Kailangan,
at baon sa utang.
Bautang sa utang. Yan ang kinabubuhay nila, boss, agriculture. And then you kill agriculture, yung source of livelihood. Ano gagawin mo sa kanila? Hindi ko alam kung iniisip ng mga economists yan. Kasi sa atin, economic principles natin, pinag-aralan natin yan. Yan it works well in a perfect economic condition. Pero meron kang climate change, meron kang geopolitical scenario, yung giyera, meron kang international market condition, tumataas ang presyo.
Wag na nating pahabain, Danny. When you think about it, listening to you, okay, the economist brings down the taxes, the tariffs, etc. on imported products. Ito namang Department of Agriculture, namimigay ng tulong sa mga maliliit na magsasaka, pero self-canceling. Yung pinamigay dito para mag-ani ng maganda, hindi naman mabebenta dahil itong mga walang yan to, pinapasok lahat ng mga smuggled at mga imported. So ayun na. So zero-sum balance ang naghirap Pilipino.
Ang assumption mo dyan, Cito, may pamimigay. Dahil pag binawasan mo tariff, liliit ang kita ng gobyerno. Dyan kinukuha yung pinamimigay.
Ayun,
Paano? So ang
okay.
gagawin dyan, uutang. Uutang na
Ayun.
tayo ng uutang.
So the
baon na tayo ng
problem,
baon.
okay, the problem is not who is the incoming secretary. The problem is that who are these economists that need to be exposed. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Sir Dan.
Opo. Salamat
Oh.
po at mabuhay po kayo.
Sa mauulit, Dan, and God bless you.
Anytime.
Okay, that's a former schoolmate. Okay, although ahead siya, upperclassman po siya. And Danilo Fausto, President, Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food Incorporated. We will go for a quick break, and when we return, we will introduce our second guest. And we will still be talking about agriculture. Pagpasensyahan nyo na po, but as Sir Danny put it, okay, 77 million Filipinos naghihirap because of several economists. Hello, do the math. Sino ba ang dapat maghirap? Yung 10 o yung 77 million? We'll be right back here on Agenda.
The Pambansang Lakas ng Kilusang Mamamalakayan ng Pilipinas or Pamalakaya has expressed concern over reports that Francisco Chu Laurel Jr., owner of Frabel Fishing Corporation, will possibly become the next Agriculture Secretary. In a statement, the group said that while they have been calling for President Bongbong Marcos to end his concurrent term as DA chief, the new secretary should be someone that is deeply integrated and capable of addressing the plight of the rural sectors. Pamalakaya added that Laurel's involvement in the big fishing industry could prioritize business interests over the welfare of farmers and fisherfolk. The fishery sector has been facing a lot of issues as of late, from possible supply shortage to reclamation woes. For one, Pamalakaya has warned that fish catch in the West Philippine Sea has gone down by 70% since 2020, and further decline is expected amid reports of massive poaching of corals by the Chinese. Aside from this, the group also called out to continued activities in Manila Bay despite the president's order to suspend all reclamation operations. How can government best address the issues hounding the fisheries sector? Let's discuss that further on today's agenda.
Fernando Hicap is the national chairperson of Pamalakaya, an alliance of activist fisherfolk groups. Hicap previously served at the Congress as representative of the Anak Pawis party list.
Magandang umaga. Good morning, Sir Fernando o Ka-Fando.
Ay, magandang umaga muli. Cito, no? Sa ating mga taga-subaybay, magandang umaga po.
Okay, palagay ko naman napakinggan mo yung aming huntahan ni Sir Danny Fausto and pinagsimulan, we started with the news that businessman tycoon Francisco Chu Laurel was being considered for Secretary of Agriculture. Nagbigay na kayo ng reaction ninyo pero mukhang lumamig ang panahon na. Parang biglang chismis lang ba yun? Ano bang balita ninyo, Ka-Fando?
Actually, ganun din, no? Yung wala kaming balita matapos ni-announce, no? In public ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos Jr. At mayroong mga reaksyon, no? In particular kami, yung aming reaksyon, yung agam-agam doon sa kung siya maging secretary ng MTA. Pero Sito, ano naman natin dito? Kailangan talaga, di ba? May pangailangan talaga na dapat mayroong full-time na secretary yung ating napakalang departamento. Dahil ito yung pagkain Hindi talaga kakayanin Maliban doon sa wala naman talagang kapasidad si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, no? Junior doon sa issue ng agriculture, ano pa, busy siya, no? Busy siya bilang Pangulo, yung kakalabas na, nakailang beses siya paglabas, kailangan talaga ng full-time na secretary ng ating agriculture. Kaya kailangan talaga yon, no?
Ang problema, Ka-Fando, sabi nga kanina ni Sir Danny Fausto na hindi lang naman kasi agriculture ang pamamalakad na poproblemahin. Whoever becomes Secretary of Agriculture has to have some influence on the Bureau of Customs, the Food and Drug Administration, DTI, DOST, lahat And sabi ko, ano yan? Superman? Parang imposible. So, ako matagal ko na sinasabi, tadtarin na lang kaya natin yung DA. Hati-hatiin na lang natin, i-regionalize na lang natin, mag-specialization na lang tayo per region para kanya-kanyang, kumbaga sinabi ng DTI noon, yung one town, one product ba? I know it's crazy, pero ilang dekada na nating ginagawa yung dating paraan, wala tayong dinatnan. Sabi ngayon ni Sir Danny, Sito, ang problema mo lang naman yung economist
Yes.
So, kayo sa pamamalakaya, what would you suggest or what are you pushing for?
Yes, tama po yun. No? I agree doon sa observation ni Mr. Danny Fausto, no? Na kung may problema sa departamento regarding doon sa comprehensive program, no? For sustainable and self-reliance na food security natin, para ma-meet natin yung food security. Ang isang bagga talaga doon, yung program and policies, no, ng administration. Yung program and policies, manggagaling yan dun sa economics ano niya, no? Group ng administration. Sa pagsusuri natin at based doon sa karanasan natin, kasi recycle na lang naman yan eh. Yung mga naandyan ngayon ay mga dati ng mga economists ng nagdaang administration. Lahat po yan ay hindi talaga kumakawala doon sa mga dicta and imposition, doon sa liberalization, no, ng ating agrikultura na siyang pumapatay doon sa ating local industriya ng agrikultura. Kaya mas doon, tama yon, no? I agree doon sa pagsusuri at pananaw ni Mr. Danyang, kailangan talaga yung puli, no? Magmula doon sa economies, group ng administration to down doon sa mga secretary, lalo-lalo na sa agriculture. Kasi
Okay.
madali ang pagpapatupad eh. Kung maayos, no? Ang problema nga doon sa ngayon in practice, yung magkaiba. Kung yung mga secretaries natin, in particular sa DE, no, na mayroon talagang sincere to resolve the problem of the sector, pero yung mga economists ay ang tinutugunan, yung imposition ng mga international organization, no, yung liberalization, useless din yun.
Ayun, kumbaga kahit anong sipag ng Pilipino, ang mamamayani ay yung mga banyagang magsasaka o mga ano. But
Tama
now,
po yan.
sa pamamalakaya, what are the challenges or ano ba yung, kasi kanina doon sa video nabanggit West Philippine Sea, etc. Pagpasensya mo na Kapando, no? Kasi ako, pag natatanong ako, sinasabi ko, magtayo na lang tayo, kaya tayo ng ekta-ektaryang floating fish cage dyan sa mga dagat para hindi na kayo lumalayo sa malalayong lugar. Ano bang mga solution o mga sagot meron kayo para naman umunlad yung sektor nyo? Kasi wala naman yata tayo maaasahan sa gobyerno kung pamamalakaya
Yes.
lang ang pag-uusapan.
Tama po. Bukas sapat naman yung production ng ating industriya sa pangisdaan eh. Ang isang problema lang dito merong nagmumonopolyo, no? Which is ito yung mga commercial fishing vessel at saka yung aquaculture. Halos mga 80% ng total production natin ay sila yung may nagkikinabang kasi galing sa kanila yung production. In particular, yung aquaculture natin more than 50% na yung ambag nila sa total production. Yung natitirang 50%, itong pinaghatian yung catch, yung huli, pinaghatian ng commercial fishing vessel at saka yung milyong-milyong mga mangisdang katulad namin. Kaya kung susuriin natin, halos mga 80% yung napupunta doon sa aquaculture and commercial fishing vessel, no? Pag sinuri natin, sino ba yung may-ari niyan? Halos iisa. At sila rin yung exporter, sila rin yung importer. Pinapayagan to import, no? Kaya mas yun yung problema. Ang pangalawa, dahil nga doon sa business interest, hindi sustainable, no? Yung mga paraan ng panghuli ng isda, kaya wala silang pakialam doon sa pagkasira ng ating pangisdaan, no? For example na lang, yung mga rampant aquaculture, tama yun, kailangan din natin yung aquaculture, kailangan din yun at kampanya rin natin, no? Pero dapat ang aquaculture ay community owned, dapat merong yung allowed ng ating area lang ay 10%, dapat ganun para to preserve na hindi talaga mapupulyot. Kasi pag rampant yung aquaculture sa isang lugar, ay napupulyot yung
Ay, hindi.
pangisdaan.
Kung
At nagkakaroon ng problema.
katulad doon sa Taal Lake, kumbaga,
Opo, Taal, Laguna
sa
Lake,
Laguna, di ba?
Pangasinan.
Oo, Pangasinan. So, pero
Yes.
kung ito ikakalat sa buong Pilipinas, pagkahaba-haba na milyahe ang pinag-uusapan natin sa kilo-kilometro, it would
Pwede
be
yun.
pwede. But bakit hindi ginagawa yon, Kapando? Kasi ako po, no, just so people know, I studied aquaculture, I did floating fish cage, crab fattening. Kumbaga parang mad science ko lang, ano? Hindi ko naman hinabol kasi iba yung plano ni Lord sa akin. Pero sabi ko, kung i-adapt itong mga floating fish cage sa dami-daming area sa Pilipinas, hindi na natin kailangan bumili ng krudo, gasolina, pyesa para magbangka-bangka pa.
Yes. Tama po 'yun, Tama po 'yun, Cito, kailangan. Pero dapat i-konsidera, no? Kasi sa bawat paglawak ng isang aquaculture, may displacement sa mga small fisher folks, no? Sa aming mga maliliit.
Hindi,
Even
but why not?
pero
Why
dapat
not? Bakit
community.
hindi yung fisher folk ang maging owners ng mga
Yes,
floating
tama
farm
po
na
yun.
yon?
Tama po yun, no? Dapat ganon. Yun po yung kinakampanya ng Pamalakaya, pero sa ngayon hindi pa po yun, no? Mas umiiral ngayon yung aquaculture ay pag private owned. Kaya hindi gano'n yung pakinabang. Nagiging mga manggagawa na lang yung mga mangingisda na dati ay mga traditional at self-reliance, no? Yung nangingisda. Ngayon, nagiging manggagawa. Ang problema sa industriya ng akukultura natin ay walang security of tenure, walang minimum wage. Siyempre, napakababa. Tapos minsan, yung mga pamilya nila involved to work, pero yung may bayad lang ay yung lalaki. Kaya overexploitation doon sa labor forces ng bawat pamilya na employed, no, doon sa mga aquaculture. Kaya may kailangan talagang
So,
baguhin.
kayo ba sa Pamamalakaya, Kafando, meron ba kayong mga projects na ganyan? Kasi parang aasa ka pa sa gobyerno, edi ikaw na lang ang magtayo. Sabi nga ng mga kakilala ko.
May mga maliliit tayo kasi wala naman tayong kapital, pero may mga practice tayo, in particular sa Lake Bato, no, sa Bicol. Yung mga maliliit na fish cage ng ating mga organization, mayroong ganung practice. Di hamak na mas maganda naman yung pakinabang kasi yung mas member yung nagkikinabang, hindi individual. May mga kailangan lang dyan i-address kasi minsan yung paglitaw ng personal interest, lalo na doon sa mga managerial task, no? Yung mga official, minsan nagkakaroon ng corruption. Kaya may
Ayun.
mga kailangan talaga na bantayan.
Ay, nako. Anyway, Kapando, maubusan tayong oras. Last question ko na lang. Paano tayo pipili ng Secretary of Agriculture? Lahat takot na.
Yes, sa amin naman, yung aming agam-agam kay Mr. Laurel, kay Kiko, mas doon sa practice, yung background niya, nung panahon ng mga 70s to 80s yan, sila yung kumbaga sa dito yung troll sa Manila Bay na lang natin tingnan, sila yung nagpasasa dyan, no? At matapos na maubos at masira na yung Manila Bay, pumunta sila doon sa ibang lugar at naging mga commercial fishing vessel na talaga, no? Yung mga pangulong na nila. Kaya wala siyang practice doon sa sustainable and development ng
Pero
ating
noon pa yun,
pamahalaan. Tapos
70s,
involved pa siya
80s.
dito sa no? Involved siya dito ngayon sa reklamasyon sa Cavite, sa Bacoor, yung 420 hectares ay bahagi na joint project yan ng local government at saka ng province.
Okay. Well, anyway, medyo malilihis tayo. So, anyway, pero hindi yung nakafocus lang sa isang tao. Paano ka pipili? Paano ka pipili ng secretary pagka ganyan na lahat ng nirekomenda parang kalapating binabaril?
Hindi naman, ang atin naman ay wala sa atin poder, no? Siyempre nasa Pangulo yan dahil siya yung appointing officer. Ang sa atin naman ay paalala lang.
Okay, yun.
Okay. Tapos bukas tayo, dapat maging bukas yung maging secretary doon sa pagbakinig at alamin kung ano talaga yung problema at suliranin ng bawat saray, no? Ng bawat sektor. Kasi mga iba-iba yan Iba yung interest namin, iba yung interest ng commercial fishing, iba yung interest ng mga manggagawa.
Okay, well, thank you, Kapando. At siguro dapat kayo ni Sir Danny magkape para gumawa na kayo ng plano na puntiryahin nyo na yung mga economist na yan. Kasi habang tayo nagsasabunutan, sila yung gumagawa ng sakit ng ulo natin. Okay, thank you, Kapando of National Chairperson Pamalakaya, Fernando Hicap. Maraming salamat po. God bless you.
Opo, maraming salamat, Cito. Muli, maraming salamat sa inyong programa.
Okay, yan po si Kapando Hicap, and let's now go to the closing blessing, our prayer for the week. And if you would, Gab, 2 Samuel 22 verse 7. In my distress, I called to the Lord. I called out to my God. From his temple, he heard my voice. My cry came to his ears. Paalala lang po yan, a reminder to all of you, when you are in dire straits, in difficulty, when you are having a hardship, call unto the Lord. Because regardless of who you are, what you are, the Lord hears. I'm Cito Beltran thanking you. Please remember Team Agenda in your prayers. God bless all of you. And please keep it here on One News.